Hello everybody. I'm going to make jambalaya today. Let's see how this goes. To start off, this is not an authentic recipe. This is the recipe I make. It's the recipe I learned somewhere. Not the internet. I learned this before the internet. I actually got this out of an ad for Spam that was in the Sunday paper. They called it Spambalaya. But I don't use Spam in it. I use usually smoked sausage or something of the sort. We'll start off with about a little more than a pound of cut up chicken thighs. You can use chicken thighs, chicken breast, chicken anything you want. Make it happy. And one of the things you want to do is you want to brown this chicken so it's good and cooked. And the more brown, the more crust you have on it, the better it's going to taste at the end. So maybe that crust will survive through the whole cooking experience. Also, we don't need to worry about anything sticking to the bottom of the pot. Everything that sticks to the bottom of the pot is flavor. When we cook the rice, cook it with all the stuff in it, all that flavor is going to come out into the jambalaya and taste terrific. So give me a couple minutes and I'll get this chicken browned up, then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, we're back. Chicken's cooking. Getting pretty far along. It's not quite browned, but it's starting to stick to the bottom. Because we're going to get some good flavor out of that. And I'm going to probably cut this short a little bit and go ahead and move on to the sausage pretty soon. But what the heck, let's leave it in there for a while. Okay, the chicken's cooked pretty good. We'll do enough for now. I'm going to get all out of here. We're going to start in on the sausage. Now the sausage I've chosen is a commercial made andouille sausage. I just watched somebody talk about authentic Cajun jambalaya, and he says you don't ever use andouille. So that's New Orleans. He says proper South Louisiana people would use a pork sausage. And of course he made his jambalaya just with pork too. There's no chicken in it, but it had quite a bit of difference in the ingredients. Well, I don't know what authentic means, so I'm just going to cook it the way I know. So we're used to this andouille sauce. Okay, so this one package that's less than a pound. But it'll do. Okay, I'm going to put this in the pan. And I'm actually going to throw a little oil in with it because I want it crispy. I want it to get browned. I want that crust to form on the sausage around the edges. That's a lot of flavor. It actually has a little crunch, and it's just generally tastes good. That's really what this is all about. People talk about, you didn't have the right ingredients, or you didn't do it the way my grandma did it. Well, I wish I knew how to do it the way your grandma did it, but I never met her, so I got to do it my way. And the ingredients, maybe they aren't super authentic. That's all right. It's going to taste good. I think that's really more important. That's what really matters to me. And I'm okay with it's modified a little bit. Alright, I'm going to let this brown for a few minutes, and I'll come back. Alright, 3-4 minutes have gone by. Got a little bit of crust going on here. I'm going to call this satisfactory for me for today. Sometimes I like a lot, sometimes I like a little. I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to put this aside while we get ready. We're going to cook the vegetables. Now that's another thing I saw on the internet looking at this stuff was that a lot of people said authentic southern Louisiana jambalaya, you don't need to put the whole garden in there. There's no tomatoes, a bunch of other stuff. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing it, like I said, the way I learned. Put some more oil in here. Now oil-wise, you can use anything you like. Actually, I like corn oil. I find it seems to really fry things better than a lot of other oils. And what we're going to put in here is what they call the Trinity. Okay, so this is bell pepper, onion, and under here is celery. About equal parts, so it's 1 bell pepper, 1 onion's about the same size as the bell pepper, and about that much celery. It's about 4 or 5 stalks of celery. Depends on your celery. You got a little skinny celery, but you have to use a little more. It's no big deal. If we're going to put that in here, we're going to cook this for quite a while. Now some people cook this for as long as 20 minutes, and they cook it down to just a mush. I like mine to still be vegetables, so we're just going to cook it till the until it's soft and the onions get translucent. That makes me happy, satisfies my need with flavor and whatnot. So it's quite a bit. So it's probably still going to cook down about half in volume by the time we get this thing going. There's a lot of oil in there. I like oil. I like it to fry, not sweat. You know, and it's also going to help a little bit with picking that stuff up off the bottom of the pan. So we have all our chicken and our sausage stuck to the bottom of the pan. That's good flavor. So the vegetables aren't going to do that so much, but they help pick it up a little bit. And then when we cook this, okay, we're going to put in there, so we got about a pound of chicken, about a pound of sausage, a little less. And we've got, I don't know, 3-4 cups of vegetables. And we're going to end up having a quart of chicken stock and a can of tomatoes, as well as some other stuff. And that liquid, it's all going to bring all that stuff up off the bottom. Bottom of the pot will be clean when we're done. And all that flavor is going to mix in. It's really just tasty. What I really like about jambalaya and stew and hearty soup is it's a one-pot meal. And I don't really like being organized. I don't like to cook 6 things at once. I like a one-pot meal. To me, that's just a great way to eat. You know, you get out your spoon, you dig in. So you can see the stuff on the bottom's already getting pretty cooked. It's looking pretty good. And you see it's starting to lift off. All that. So you can see all that brownness. That's from the meat. That's good flavor. But we'll get into seasonings in a minute too. So we can put the seasonings in now, I guess. People do that at various times. I'm never really sure when it's best. It always seems to come out good. Okay, so one of the things we're going to use, good old-fashioned salt and pepper. Okay, so there's maybe a teaspoon and a half of salt and about a teaspoon of pepper. I don't like to use too much salt. Some people put a ton in, some people put any in. The sausage is out of a factory, so it's going to have seasoning in it. Okay, the other thing I'm going to put in is Italian seasoning. This is just I don't know, maybe 2.5, 3 tablespoons. It's a lot. That's probably really 2 tablespoons. Italian seasoning. I usually would just use thyme and oregano. I don't remember what's in Italian seasoning. It's basically thyme and oregano. And I had some, so that's what we're going to use. We'll let that mix in a little bit. Okay, and I can cook, get a little cooking going. Now sometimes I put garlic in and sometimes I don't. Today I'm not going to. I just didn't feel like it. Okay. Careful of the pot, it's hot. Okay, while this cooks a little bit, let's talk about this pot. Everybody, I see a lot of people on YouTube are really into cast iron cooking. And there's people who say that that's kind of your tradition. For jambalaya is a cast iron pot. Sure, why not? There's actually no reason you need to use a cast iron pot. It doesn't matter. If you've got an enamel cast iron, is great for this. It browns the meat well. A lot of these things do. I happen to use this one. I got this at a thrift store, and I don't have a proper lid for it. It should have a basting lid, a cast iron lid. I don't. So I went on Amazon and I found this big aluminum lid, and it works great. Gets the job done. You don't need a basting lid for this recipe. A basting lid would be if I was going to cook pot roast in it, use it in the oven to bake, that kind of thing. That's when you need a basting lid. Okay, this is getting pretty close to what I like. Sometimes I cook a little longer, sometimes I cook a little less. The whole thing's going to cook with the rice for like 20 minutes. The vegetables are going to be soft no matter what you do. You don't even have to brown them. You don't have to saute them. They're going to come out soft. That's the way this works. All right, let's look at what we got left. I'm going to throw the meat in. Drop the chicken in here. That in the sink. I'll pop the sausage in here. Ooh, oily. You get some oily sausage. That's a pretty good sign. Remember, fat is flavor. And we all heard that. All right, now it's starting to look pretty good. So we'll mix that in. And we got some seasoning left to do. So first, I'm going to toss in my diced tomatoes. That's just a can of diced tomatoes. You can use fresh tomatoes. You can use no tomatoes. You can use stewed tomatoes. It doesn't matter. Whatever you like. Or don't put tomatoes in at all. That's fine too. Okay. Do whatever you want. Remember, this is inauthentic cooking. We aren't worried that we didn't use the right brand. We aren't worried that, you know, we're going to somebody's grandma is going to come over and she's not going to think we do it right. We don't care. It's going to taste good, and that's all we really care about. Now, the last thing you got to use is some hot sauce. Now, this is Red Rooster. I don't know where I got this. I got it at the grocery store. But any of these Louisiana-style hot sauces, they'll pretty much taste the same to me. There's Frank's, there's Crystal. I don't know. What do you got? I like quite a bit. I like my Jambalaya hot. So, what's that? I don't know. That's a quarter cup. So maybe about half a cup. I put a lot in. I like to taste it the next day. I like it to remind me what I'm up to. So we got our seasoning. We got that in. We mix that around. Doesn't have to really matter how much we mix it because it's going to cook for, I usually go about 20 minutes once I get the rice and the sauce in. So everything's going to get mixed up good. It's all going to come out fine. Now, the other thing, I'm going to use chicken stock. Now, some people use water for this recipe. Some people would use chicken broth. And I use chicken stock, which is the thickest. It's got the most flavor. I'll hold that up, you can see. Yeah, chicken stock. It doesn't matter what brand. I like these boxes because I use a quart of it. I'm just going to pour that all in. Maybe try and rinse some of the vegetables off the side because they don't do us any good up there on the side. We need them to get in there and get cooked. Alright. There we go. Chicken stock is in. Pot's looking good. We'll give it a quick stir. And we need to bring this up to a boil. Okay, we're going to put 2 cups of rice in here. With 2 cups of rice, we need to start off with it boiling. And then, when it's happy, we can transition to the next step. Alright, once that boils for a minute while I get the rice. Now, normally I would recommend having everything prepped ahead of time. I forgot to get the rice out. No big deal. Okay. So now, got my 2 cups of rice. And I made this on a camping trip one time. And I used to only use a cup of rice and less chicken stock. And I actually had a complaint. Someone complained, not enough rice. I thought that was really weird. It's so weird I'd mention it to you. I like a lot of rice, but I, kind of like more of everything. So, I usually used to not do so much rice. But, you got to please your audience, I guess, is what you got to do. So, I went with that much rice. Alright, let me get that up to a boil, and I'll be back. Alright, hopefully you can see on the camera, it's starting to bubble, starting to boil a little. We're getting there. It's not completely boiling all the way around, but it's close enough because we're going to lose some boil when we throw this rice in. So we're going to throw our 2 cups of rice in. Right, now one of the tricks to this, some people stir forever. I watch that. I don't stir forever. I just got to get it in there and get it mixed in. So let's get it mixed in. But one thing you want to watch for is you want the rice to be under the surface. Okay? You want that mixed in good, but it needs to be not floating. I don't know why, but the stuff that floats on the surface just doesn't seem to get cooked. And so you get little hard bits. I don't like little hard bits in the jambalaya. I like it all cooked really good. Okay, really I was talking about the pot a little bit. This is my cast iron pot that I found at the thrift store. 12 bucks. It's awesome. But if you don't have a cast iron pot, that's okay. This recipe will work in anything. So you got a stainless steel pot, you got an aluminum pot, you got, what do you call it, Teflon. Doesn't matter. It's all going to work. It's all going to come out really good. Okay, this is actually enough of a boil to make me happy. So I'm going to put the lid on it. I'm going to turn the stove down to just enough to keep it simmering. I'm going to wait. Now, this is probably early going to be ready in about 12 to 15 minutes, but I usually let it go about 20. I like it really well cooked. And you're going to see we're going to have some leftover liquid when we get done. That doesn't hurt a thing. We just let it open and let it sit. By the time it cools down to eating temperature, that liquid will have steamed right off. So let's let this sit. We'll come back in 20 and we'll see how it's doing. Alright, time's up. It's been sitting. Let's break out a spoon and see what it looks like. Oh, that is hot. That's super hot. Don't do that. Alright. Turn the stove off. You can see it's still bubbling away. We're going to give it a good stirring. See all that rice. Look at that rice soaked up all that chicken stock and spiciness. And see, it's still pretty wet. But if we let it sit here, stove off and going to cool it down to eating temperature. It's going to be really good. Okay, so I'm going to let it do that. Let it set for a minute. Let it air out. And we'll plate some up and take a look at it. Okay, let it set a little bit. Get a clean spoon. We're going to get ourselves something to put it in. Get a plate. So you can see how it's thickened up quite nicely just as it's set. And it's cooled a little bit. Still going to be too hot to eat probably, but we'll serve some up. Alright, I'm going to be meat in that one. Oopsie. There we go. Alright. So there you go. That's what my non-authentic jambalaya, the way the recipes usually say to make it. Some people say it's not right. I like it. It's very tasty. And I didn't sample any of the taste. It could use a little salt, maybe not. You kind of got to make up your mind on that yourself. I'm not a big salt guy. Alright, next time, I don't know what we'll make. We'll see if this video comes out good. Alright, thanks for watching.